Hey everybody, Clay Smells coming at you here. It is 6/25/17. I'm pretty excited for this one here today. It's because it deals with someone that I hear it all the time in my profession. And I'm a teacher, and I hear about kinesthetic, visual, and auditory learning, or learners, and those different types. And I hear it all the time in my classroom. Well, I'm a visual learner, and I hear it all over the place. And people come in and you read literature for education, stuff like that. And people come in and try to help you out with your classroom. You go to seminars and professional developments. They talk about these three types of learning, and if you have visual kid. And here's my issue with that. My issue with that is that you need all three, okay? Because if you're saying you're just a visual learner, let's take my son for instance. He just started riding his bike without training wheels. Now let's go back to the visual learning piece. If he is just a visual learner, okay, he would basically, as we rode along the rail trail today, he's watching all these other kids riding without training wheels. So basically, if he's a visual learner, he can just watch somebody ride around on a bike without training wheels on. He'd be able to get on his bike and ride with no problem if he's a visual learner. That's kind of what people are trying to say. If he's an auditory learner, I could blindfold him. I could tell him how to ride around without training wheels. He'd take the blindfold off and be able to ride it around. Now, if he's kinesthetic, I wouldn't have to say anything. He'd just get on and do it and be able to ride right away. So when people are saying, hey, I'm a visual learner, I'm an auditory learner, I'm a kinesthetic learner, like, I'm just that. No, you're not. You're not just that. It's a myth. You're not just one of those. You're all three of them. You need all three, like Kale. Kale needed to see other boys riding those bikes. And as soon as he saw the first boy, and he's like, he doesn't have any training wheels. And I'm like, yeah, man, we need to get you off of those training wheels and start doing it. He's like, yeah, I want to do that. And then he kept seeing these kids go by without training wheels. So he's getting more excited. He's seeing how it's working, and he's seeing me do it too. He's also, the auditory piece is when we had him in the backyard. And Amanda and I were sitting there trying to tell him about, hey, balance, what balance is. It's going to fall. And he's also seeing how the bike is fitting on him and kind of wiggling around. And we're telling him what he has to do with the steering wheel. So he's hearing that, but he's also seeing him do it. And he's also doing it himself, kinesthetic. He's moving the steering wheel back and forth. He's seeing those balances, okay? So he had to use all three of these types of learning in order for him to be able to ride that bike. Now, it was exciting for him to ride that bike down there by himself for the first time. So we were all giving high fives and fist bumps. So he actually did it, and we're excited about that. But it just goes back in the thing, and I was reading some stuff today, and I was hearing some things today about this kinesthetic learning, visual learners, and people are saying, and I hear it all the time, and from different people. They said, oh, my kid's a visual learner. That's what. No. He's all three. He has to be all three. He can't just be one. He can't just see somebody riding a bike and get on and ride it and be good at all the time. That's not the way it works, okay? So it has to be all these. Now, I'm a big John Maxwell fan. I read Maxwell. I listen to Maxwell. I do all those things, okay? So John Maxwell, he's talking about a learning cone and a learning curve, and here's how you learn, here's how you remember things. So here's what he said, which is really important to understand about this. You learn and remember 10% of what you read, only 10%. So you read all this stuff and only remember 10% of it. You learn and remember 20% of what you see. So we're looking at that visual piece. Is you're just seeing it. You're not really picking up. And think about those videos we just watched. Those videos we watched to help us, like a DIY. How many times we got to watch them? We got to watch them over and over to make sure we know how to do it right. We don't just see it once and be able to do it. Okay? You learn 50% of what you see and hear. That's why videos, DIY videos, are so effective, because we're seeing somebody build it and we're hearing what they're doing, how to build it. But again, it's 50% of what we remember, so we got to keep hitting that replay button or getting it back and listening to it again. And then we learn and remember 70% of what we say, because it's from our thoughts. So we're going to remember it better if it's our thoughts saying it to somebody else. And then 90%, we learn and remember 90% of what we teach to others, okay? And here's the thing with Kale. Okay, with Kale, we try to get him to say what he's doing to us, okay? That helps that with 70% of remembering what he has to do while he's riding it in the moment, okay? But the next step, and this is something cool about learning kids, that they want to do it anyways. We have his niece is 2 days older than him, so they're both 5, and she's still riding with training wheels just like Kale. and he's like, oh man, I can teach and I can help Nora how to do this. Well, that would be the best learning experience for him, because 90% of what he teaches to others, he's going to remember and learn. So that's great. He's already excited about doing that. So what we need to do next is really get him honed in on being able to really ride his bike consistently around. Is get him around Nora in order to have him show it out there. And you know what? That's going to help her too, because what's she doing? She's seeing. Okay, then that seeing and hearing is going to want to hopefully motivate her to try it out too. And then she can take that and teach somebody else as well, which is also, it's just a realm of a circle of learning, a circle of growth when you use all of these aspects together. So, and you know, I just heard some things today, visual, auditory, kinesthetic. I was reading a couple things here today and saw it. These posts on Facebook and stuff like that about it. And I just want to put it out there that you need all three of them. And the biggest thing is, you can't know how to do something unless you go do it yourself. You know, I say this all the time in my classroom. You wouldn't know how to ride, if you never knew how to ride a bike, you're not going to expect just to jump on a bike and know how to do it. You can't learn how to ride a bike unless you get on the bike. Okay, so thank you all for today. The W.I.L.T for today, getting kinesthetic, visual, auditory learning myths. You need all of it to learn. So thank you for watching. Appreciate it. Comment, share, post, like, all that kind of stuff. So please, thank you. I appreciate you viewing. And let's go out and make a difference. Let's go out and change. Let's go out and grow. Let's go out and learn.